Hand reps, something very essential for most people that do Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, you name it. I will show you today how I wrap my hands, how my technique is, and why it's different from probably most guys that you've seen before. You'll see it right now. All right, so we have our reps here. I have quite a stretchy one. I like those stretchy ones. This is from Yokow. There are also pretty tight ones. I'm not a fan of them because with this one, you can really adjust the tightness of your hand rep. So you normally have the inside of the rep pretty visible by this do not wash sign, whatever. You always have something ugly that shows you this is the inside. So this little white thing is to put your thumb in, right? And of course, there's two ways to put your thumb in. With my method, how I do it, you put your thumb in the way that the ugly side, this one, shows to the upside, right? So then when you put it to your wrist from the inside of your hand, the thumb being the inside to the outside, the ugly side that you see here is now hidden. It's on your hand, you see? Because if you don't do that, if you have the ugly side upwards, then it will not work at the end with the Velcro and will look pretty shitty. So we go from inside to outside, once around the wrist, like this, once completely around. Then from here, we go to or around the thumb, like this, you see? And I like to keep it pretty tight. You don't have to. What I also like to do to make sure you're not going too tight is every now and then do this with your hand. It kind of makes everything a little bit more loose and gives you a feeling for how tight it is, right? So just showing you the detail, you go around the thumb here to cover that ugly white thing, around the thumb, like this, come out on the other side. By the way, if there's some wrinkles in your hand, especially if you have them since a while, that's not a problem. It's just the aesthetics, no one cares. Do not put too much time into caring about those wrinkles. From the thumb here, as I showed you, we go once around the middle of our hand towards our wrists. Now here, as I show it again, we land at our wrist, right? We go once, knuckles, we go once around our knuckles. From here, there's still that ugly little space here that you see that is still not covered. We want to cover that and we want to go back to the wrist. So now, from here, just that you can follow me, we're still on the inside being between the thumb and the pointing finger, right? That's the inside. We always wrap this way. Where here, we go with a kind of like a half cross. We go and cover that ugly space. You see, the ugly space, boom, covered, right? From here, we are now here. We go around the wrist. And now we are here again. Now we can start to wrap the fingers. The way I like to do it, as I said, there's 1,000 different ways to wrap your hands. This is my way, is once here, we start between the, how do you call it, marriage ring or whatever, ring finger, and the little finger, right? Once in between those two. Then I like to go, of course, from here we go back to the wrist, right? Then we're here again. Some people like to go directly to the other finger. I like to go once around the wrist again. Once around the wrist. Then, now it gets tricky. Now you see something that you probably do not see often. We go through between the ring finger and the middle finger. And now, instead of doing the same thing again and going through the pointing finger, I like to do, because look, if you do it like that and you now come from here, you are at the very outside and it starts to look pretty ugly, in my opinion, for the pointing finger. So I like to do, when I'm here between the middle finger and the ring finger, I go once around the middle finger, and instead of going the natural way back this way, the way we always go, I go the other way around, straight down here, and this has another bonus point for me, in my opinion at least, straight down here. As I said, we wrap around the middle finger. Instead of going the normal way, we go just straight down here and this way around. So now we come from the outside, which makes it, first of all, more aesthetically pleasing to go around the pointing finger. And also what I like about this tactic is you make a double layer here. First of all, you protect your middle finger by wrapping around it, and you add another layer on top of your knuckle from the middle finger, because this is your most prominent knuckle. This is the knuckle that 99.9% of the time hits your target first and mostly last, depending on how your knuckles are shaped, but this is always your main knuckle. This is the knuckle that needs most protection. So now it's kind of double protected, right? And we come from here, right, as I showed you, from this side, always make sure it's tight, here, through this one, and now, depending on how long your hand wrap is, you can either, which is the more aesthetically looking way, go back to the wrist, wrap around the wrist, and then come to the knuckles, right? The way I will show it to you right now is if you have a little bit shorter hand wraps, you can also go directly from, you just wrapped your pointing finger, right? Directly to the knuckles, like this. Once around, always just take a look at your, and for the knuckles, I like to make a little bit of a fist to go around it, you see? A little bit of a fist to go around it to keep it nice and tight. And you always have to look at how much you have left, right? And you also have to, and this is very important, this is always individual. You have to decide, are your knuckles your main issue, or is your wrist your main issue? If your knuckle gets injured rather quickly, do one rep extra around the knuckles. If, like for me, it's more my wrist, I now have 2 reps around my knuckles. This should be enough. I'll make a third one just to show you. Third one around the knuckles, like this. And now we go back. We're at the inside again, right? Between the thumb and the pointing finger. Now we go in a half X again, back to the wrist. And now the rest of my reps, I like to just use them for my wrist. You should not go back all the way like this. You do not want to wrap all the way back. You can go a little bit, like my bones are here. You can go a little bit like I do right here behind the bones to just have some extra stability if you have enough centimeters left of your hand wraps. And then close it off by having it nice and tight. That's at least how I like it. Just wrap the rest of your hand wrap around your wrist. And now it looks like this. I think it looks aesthetically pleasing, even though that's not the main important thing. By the way, if your hand wraps look ugly, but you feel protected, that's all that matters. You have a nice little, how should I say?
English, change your language.
The hand wraps are like nicely shared all around your hand. So it's not like your knuckles are just like over here, like everything is around the knuckles or everything is around whatever. Everything is smooth in one line, so you won't have problems if you go into your gloves, because if it's uneven, if you go into your gloves, especially if you have too much on the wrist as well, you can barely get into your gloves and it's just not comfortable. It's all about comfort at the end of the day. This is just meant to be an added protection for your hand when you put on your gloves and you spar or hit the bag heavy or heavy pads or whatever. So this works perfectly fine for me. I know that a lot of people probably have a lot of opinions on why this should be wrong or whatever, but trust me when I tell you, after 9 years of Muay Thai, I can tell you this works perfectly fine. For me, the most important finger is the middle finger, because the knuckle here is the most prominent one for all of us, and this is the first one that hits. And for me, it's by far the most prominent one, so it's probably the last one that hits. This one maybe hits, you know what I mean? It hits as well, but this one is just the main source of impact, so this is the one we want to protect the most. If you really want to protect your knuckles like crazy, you can also put a sock in between, like have a sock, a normal sock from your wardrobe, put it around the hand and wrap like this, but around the sock. You get what I'm saying? So you have an extra added layer of protection around your knuckles. I never have problems with my knuckles, so that works perfectly fine for me. The wrist is protected, I feel strong, I can open my hand, I can close my hand, because sometimes when you wrap your wrists with weird techniques, you can barely like open your hand, everything is so tight. So like this, I can perfectly easy open and close my hand. As I said, if you need assistance for that during the wrap, you can just every now and then do this to ensure that everything is loose enough that you can still move, but also tight enough that you can feel it and feel protected.
Protect yourself at all times.
All right, you guys, I hope this helped you. I tried to explain it as detailed as possible. I hope I didn't confuse you guys. Write your opinions in the comments if you've ever wrapped it like this. If you tried it right now, tell me, how did it feel for you once you hit the bag? How did it work for you? Do you have any questions? Write them in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, would appreciate that. Check out my merch, stuff like this, bloodsport.net, worldwide free shipping with the code free. Links in the bio. Stay bloody, you guys. And until the next one, bye-bye. Bloodsport out.